Recording. We are live now. Namaste all. Welcome to today's webinar. Today is Natural Ecology Group 93rd webinar, and the topic is a natural alternative for RO water purification. And the presentation is by M.V. Ramachandrudu Garu, a civil engineer with masters in environmental planning and water harvesting expert. And today's topic is theme is DIY, do it yourself, olden days practice to purify water for drinking and cooking. And the agenda is natural ways to purify water, a simple alternative to RO, reverse osmosis process in this current modern living, and how to make it, do it yourself. And a brief introduction about Ramachandra Garu. He studied as civil engineering in CBIT and a master's in environmental planning and CEPT in Ahmedabad. Since then, he is working in a voluntary sector with various independent development agencies in different parts of India. He uh, he work as he work experiences largely on water, watershed, wash, and institutions. Currently, is working with several department development agencies, including WASAN, the Rainwater Project, and few donors. He also believes in chemical-free life and lives in a chemical-free life. Along with his son Bharani, he is venturing into eco enterprises with a variety of eco products. So nowadays, earlier days, in the olden days, water means is very precious. Either we used to get it from the ponds, lakes, or different water bodies, even the wells. Now, as we grow, as the moderation is happening and the urbanization is happening, the cities are forming. Now we are buying the water. That too, because of the more demand, we are digging deep and we are going a deep root course of the ground from 100 feet to 200 feet to 1,000 feet. As we deep we go, we are getting not only the water, also with the toxins. So, in order to avoid the excessive TDS or excessive total dissolved salts, which we measure in a ppm parts per million, then we started with a technology called reverse osmosis. Now, what it will do, it will remove all the useful beneficial salts and microbes also. So definitely is not a natural, is not healthy, is not sustainable. So what is a natural alternative? Even the Green Tribunal of India is also banned RO, but still is a widely popularly, is a big industry. So today we'll hear more about what is the RO process and what is the natural alternative, how we can reverse it from the words of Ramchandra Garu. Ramchandra Garu, welcome to you.
Thanks, Sudhir Garu, and thanks for calling me to this webinar to talk about my experiences. And I hope I'll make some sense to you, all of you, who are already doing quite a bit of work on eco-friendly life. I guess you're all part of some kind of discussion group or some e-group where you are actually exchanging good ideas and trying to promote eco sensitive lifestyle broadly. I hope I'm audible to all of you.
Yeah, you're audible, sir.
Okay, yeah. Thanks. So basically, uh, this particular three-part filter, which I'm going to share with you, I don't know whether we should call it an alternative to RO plants. Maybe there is some misnomer in the whole positioning of this RO plants. I'll come to that point little later. But I thought I'll just explain the kind of journey that I have that I have traveled all these years. See, basically, I'm using three-pot filter, which is also called sand filter, domestic sand filter, for almost 15 years now. And I live in Hyderabad. I drink municipal water, the water which is supplied by HMW, Hyderabad Metro Water Works Department. So, but I also work in rural areas. We promoted several drinking water systems and wash related drinking water sanitation facilities in rural areas. I'm fairly familiar with drinking water related challenges and problems and also good practices. Um, so when I started living in Hyderabad about 20 years back, I always thought we should only drink municipal water because government is spending a lot of money, crores of rupees to get water from, primarily from local tanks, local lakes, but eventually from faraway places like Godavari, Krishna, and all urban cities, urban centers actually import water from minimum 50 kilometers away. They extract water from reservoirs which are constructed on major, rivers, and they deprive all the city dwellers actually deprive water from rural areas, and we drink water as if we have good entitlement. So I was basically worried about this kind of trend, and then but we do not have any option in rural areas, particularly people who live in rented houses. They have big challenge in actually making any kind of alternative way of doing this. So I thought I should not buy water from RO plants and all. I should basically use only municipal water because government is already spending a lot of money. Thanks for that picture. I'm a little unprepared for this whole presentation. Though Sudhir Garu told me about this a week back, I was caught up with several other things, so I could not make proper presentation. But these photographs are very useful. This is the three-part system I have been using for last 15 years. Maybe I changed about three, four sets. Once a particular set is old, I discard that and make it new. My son, when we started this when he is in eighth class, ninth class, like that. Now he is 26 years old, young man, and he made all those 4, 5 sets. He developed some kind of skill on making this three-part system. And the black shirt, I'm the person. Oh, you are seeing me. So these three parts basically are stacked one above the other. The top two parts have a small hole, and maybe it is there in one of those pictures. And then we fill sand, gravel, and then also charcoal. In the picture, you can see charcoal. Basically, we buy charcoal from any coal shop in Hyderabad. In our locality, the shops are there. We just go there and buy some 2, 3 kilos of charcoal. The purpose of charcoal is to remove any bad smell, odor, that may be there in water. And then it adds some kind of purity to the water. And then the sand and gravel, the sand gravel means small stones. So they basically that is the filtering medium. In those two parts, we fill that parts about 30 centimeters, 35 centimeters deep, from bottom to 35 centimeters or so. We'll fill that in these two ponds up to this level and up to this level like that. This will be around 30 centimeters to 35 centimeters. And after that, we pour water like this. And before filling these pots, I washed this sand and gravel several times, 5, 6 times, so that any organic material, any unwanted material is completely washed off, it is removed. And then I dried it in sunlight for 4, 5 times, and then wash it again and dry it again. Like that, I make sure that it is absolutely clean and dried up. After that, I fill these pots, above pot and below pot, and then in this on the top pot, I generally keep more space for water, so that when you fill it, at least you are able to fill at least 5, 6 liters of water in one single stretch. And the second part has more. This is the second part. It has less space for water, but water from the first pot drops drop by drop into the second pot, and it doesn't hold too much of water because the water goes from this pot to the storage tank, which is connected with the third pot, which has a tap. So the third part, which is at the bottom, is basically storing the entire water. the first pot on the topmost pot will hold water. You can fill it in once, and then it also acts like a small storage tank. And then this is the bottom small hole. You can see that, and water drops. Trickles down drop by drop from the first pot to the second pot. Second pot also would have similar kind of hole. So that is the kind of arrangement. The science behind this is basically when water gets in touch with the sand and gravel, on the top part, bottom parts, you can actually see that, uh, a certain bacteria develops around the sand particles and gravel stones. And then this is a beneficial bacteria. And then whatever is there, the pathogen bacteria that is there in your water, either from wells or municipality water, that water gets eaten, that bacteria gets eaten away by this beneficial bacteria, and then water is purified in this process. That's a very simple science that is happening for so many ages. All our wells, our groundwater is considered to be pure water because of this natural process. When rainwater percolates through our soils offer some kind of bacteria, uh, beneficial bacteria, which will survive, which will thrive on any pathogens that are there in the water. When water percolates down, in that process, the pathogens are eaten away by the beneficial bacteria, which is formed around soil particles, and then pure water gets into the soil's deeper parts of the earth. When we dig any well, or when we put any bore well or hand pump, we are basically touching the purified water, which is free from bacteria. So this is how well water or hand pump water or bore well water is expected to be free from bacteria, pathogen bacteria. It is supposed to be good for health. So that is the system I'm using it for last 15 years almost, using this artificially created filter at home through pots. And because I use pots, they also cool water. The bottommost water is always good for drinking, and it is also cool water. So it is actually quenching your thirst. So that's what I'm using it. So in this context, I would like to make few points here. Uh, Earlier, our system was basically, we were taking water from wells or hand pump, and these wells were not so deep. That means you may get water from 10 feet to maybe 30 feet, 50 feet, 60 feet. And this water, we are able to either pull it through hand, either through pulleys, or you use a motor and you store it and use it. So this entire groundwater is considered to be very, very pure because of the bacteriological action which I just described. But over a period of time, our lifestyle changed and our technology changed, and we started actually, contaminating even groundwater. That means, all our industrial waste or waste from cities, our urban cities, we started directly dumping this water into streams, dumping this water into even groundwater resources. Sometimes even dried borewells are used to, discharge all this water, contaminated waste water, particularly from industrial and municipal water. And this water is chemically contaminated. It is not bacteriological contamination, but chemical contamination. Because chemical contaminants, pollutants are going deep into the aquifers, deep into the well, that water, groundwater is also now chemically contaminated. This contamination is basically, this chemical contamination is either because of nitrates or because of other heavy chemical loads, chemical contaminants. So this purification of water through sand layers will not help these chemical contaminants. It can only purify bacteriological contaminant within certain limits. So the groundwater now is basically contaminated, polluted both with chemicals as well as high load sorts of bacteriological contaminants. As a result, our groundwater is also very very polluted. So many citizens, many people both in urban and rural areas, now they are actually forced to drink this groundwater, which is highly chemically as well as pathogen wise polluted. So that's a very challenging situation for us. When we get water through municipal pipelines, our taps and all, these pipelines are also laid in some 30 years back, 40 years back. When the systems are expanding, new colonies are coming, there are many challenges with these expanded urban localities because of the poor quality of pipeline network or because of very old pipeline network. Because of these two reasons, the pipelines are also carrying pathogens along with that water, which is coming from either Manjira in case of Hyderabad or Krishna, Godavari. All those pipelines are carrying water from faraway reservoirs, but on the way they are contaminated with either municipal waste or industrial waste. So municipal waste is the most common pollutant that is actually spoiling this good quality water which is coming from faraway reservoirs. So ultimately when we get this water at our taps, so we may get water which is contaminated with municipal water, mainly from pathogens. So because of this, our municipal water, though they apply chlorine and though they have sand filters, there is a high possibility of pathogens in this municipality water. So when we use this municipal water, it is likely that we might get diseases, particularly during monsoons, where even there are so many ways of there are so many ways in which this tap water is also getting contaminated. So at a household level, this sand filter is one of the simple solutions to treat purify our water from pathogens. So the sand filter which I am using is good for removing any pathogens as well as turbidity as well as bad odor, because I'm also using charcoal as part of the treatment medium. So and turbidity will be cleaned because entire dust particles, entire other turbidity will be retained, filtered through sand and gravel. Only contamination that I cannot treat with this sand filter is chemical contamination. So it removes bad odor, it removes turbidity, it removes pathogens. I get filtered water which is clean and which is water free. Only challenge is chemical contamination, which I cannot treat with sand filter. So another major issue in many of the urban localities, even rural localities, is TDS, that is total dissolved solids. This is also called, this is also indicated by hardness of the water. Sometimes our water is very soft. That means when you wash your hands with soap, you get lot of foam, lot of leather. That water is called soft water. But when you dig water to deeper aquifers, when your borewell is pumping water from 300 feet, 500 feet, even 1000 feet, it is likely that your groundwater is highly very hard, and the TDS may be anything between 300 to 1200 ppm. So this is the most common issue with most of the groundwater based systems in most part of the country. So when this Better India people, they covered my experience in their Better India e-magazine. Initially, I was actually reluctant. I thought, what is so great about this sand filter? I'm using it for almost 15 years, and this is not my technology. I did not invent this. I'm only following, the sand filter technology, which is used by most municipalities across the world, including India. many cities have this, sand filter bed. This pot filter is only miniature version of that, and it is considered as one of the most effective. It's one of the most common traditional methods of treating water, particularly when there are pathogens. So I thought, why should Better India cover this article? I was very reluctant. Actually, I was avoiding their calls. I said it is such a simple thing. People will only laugh at me if I put this as a great thing in the e-magazine. But that lady who made this article, she finally convinced me just to talk. Initially, they asked me for a write-up. I was reluctant to give a write-up, but she said, you just speak to me, I'll convert that into an article with some photographs. So I reluctantly agreed, and she prepared this article on my behalf, and she published it on Better India. And I was so surprised to see the response. By this time, I would have received at least 500 emails from different parts of the country, from Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Jammu, Kashmir, Leh, Ladakh, and from northeast to Kutch on the west. Almost all states all have, I mean, people from all states send their emails. Actually, I received a couple of emails from even Saudi Arabia also recently. So this article keeps on coming in several I think e-magazines, because people thought that it's a solution to RO plants. I think she made it very catchy by making it RO as part of the title. That's why many people think that it's a solution. But I kind of urge all of you to look at this not as a solution to RO problem, but as an independent solution in its own merit. But because TDS is a major challenge in majority of the urban locations, or even rural location, I think about 95% of the emails I received, they talked about TDS as a major problem. So the TDS related challenge, total dissolved solids in water, the main solution is little longer solution. Maybe I can share my screen now. I hope I can share my screen. Sudhir Garu, I would like to share some of the points.
Sure, sir, sure.
Yeah, please allow me to share.
Yeah.
See, basically, most of us got used to some simple quick fix solutions, and RO plant actually enables that kind of quick fix solution. But the TDS related, uh, can I, how do I?
No, there is a green button below share.
Yeah,
Yes.
I click that, and I'm unable to see my.
You close it and do it once again.
Okay, yeah, I'll do it. So basically, it is coming the same thing. Okay, maybe I'll just speak without wasting my time. See, many people think that there would be a quick fix solution. Even three-part filter is a quick fix solution, and RO plant is much more simpler quick fix solution. That's why it is accepted as a most common fixture in most of the places. In most of the houses have this, but as Sudhir Garu already mentioned, it is actually demineralizing water, and it is actually making water acidic. As a result, you have more long-term health related problems, because your intestines are exposed to acidic water, and slowly your system is unable to absorb minerals, because there are no minerals in the water, and your food is incomplete without mineralized water. So TDS should be at least 150 ppm or below, between 100 to 150 ppm, so that you are able to take minerals as part of your food when you drink water, and that will supplement your overall diet. If you demineralize water and drink water up to 20 ppm, sometimes in rural areas, all RO plants, they supply water up to even 10 ppm, less than 40 ppm, because that tastes sweet. So people are misguided by the sweetness of water, which is actually poisonous. Actually, in long term, that will impact your health in a very systemic way. You don't know the reason, but your pains in the bones, your joints, your digestion system, your liver, everything is corroded from inside. So that's one of the biggest health epidemic that we are all facing very silently. So because people thought it's a simple thing to operate, but the tedious solution is little long term. I urge all of you to take some community based systems. If you have your own home, individual home, that is much simpler. But if you are living in a colony or an apartment, maybe you have to engage with your communities locally. You harvest your rainwater. Every roof catches water, and that water is true. There is huge water, lakhs of liters of water is falling on your roof. If you divert that water to recharge pits in your own colony, in your own apartments, and that will recharge your groundwater aquifers, and it will dilute your TDS. That is the only solution, because we are only extracting water from aquifers, and we are going from 300 feet to 500 feet to 600 feet to 1200 feet. Yeah, and we are not putting one drop of water back to the system. As a result, water is because of the local geological conditions, we are getting high concentrations of minerals there in the form of total dissolved solids, which is adding to the complex water system. It is very hard, and we are putting RO plants to treat it, and we are making it completely demineralized. We are using lot of energy to pump water and lot of energy to again demineralize water, and we are getting water which is very very harmful to our own body. So this entire system is basically very very peculiarly a high energy consuming system, and highly non-beneficial, causing hazard to our health. So we are, all of us are very educated, we have a lot of money at our disposal, but we don't want to put one something like 10,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees, even 50,000 rupees to conserve our roof water, to dilute our local groundwater aquifers and make the TDS little acceptable, make the high TDS into low TDS, make hard water into soft water. These recharge pits are very very effective when you conserve roof water, rainwater through recharge pits. Actually you can dilute your water, you can make it soft, and actually and actually reduce the TDS. And if you use that water for sand filters, like three pot systems, that will be very very best combination. So most people don't want to talk to their own neighbors, struggle hard to convince their neighbors, their own apartment society people to harvest rainwater and recharge aquifers. If you directly harvest water also, that is also very good water. Actually my house, I'm unable to present it, but my house, I actually I harvest completely. I sorry, there was some kind of
Chứ con chó ở đâu bố ơi, giết cả nhà luôn, địt mẹ nhà mày luôn mẹ, địt mẹ con lần đừng đeo.
Sorry for the interruption. Sir, please unmute yourself once, and sir, please unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, in my house, I constructed my own house about 12 years back. I completely harvest my roof water. I convert that into roof water harvesting sump with a sand filter again, and excess water is led to recharge my bore well. And I recycle all my gray water. That means the water that comes from my bathrooms, my kitchen, washing machine, everything is treated with three chambers, sedimentation chambers. After that, I have a reed bed. Through this reed bed, I completely treat my used water and use that water for irrigation. So I don't discharge my wastewater into the municipality system. I only allow my black water. That means the human excreta from my toilets is connected to drainage system, which is about 10% of the water. 90% of the water that I use is treated, used for my irrigation, or treated for recharging. I completely harvest my roof water from rain, and I harvest that partially. I harvest about 30,000 liters of water every year, and rest of the water I recharge my groundwater aquifer. So my water is fairly available in the shallow aquifers because I completely recharge it, and I use that water for drinking. I also use municipal water. I use roof water for treating my. I use this water for drinking after treating my treating through three-part system. So this is the system I'm following for so many years. Because I'm having my own individual house, I was able to do this entire water system where roof water, rainwater is conserved, and used water is treated, and it is also used for irrigation. I use it, reuse it, and then I use three-part system when I actually consume that water for drinking. The end part, I combined my sum for both municipal water as well as roof water. So because I use sand filter that is free from bacteria, because I'm using municipal water and rainwater, my water is not chemically contaminated. If I'm using groundwater for drinking, which may be there may be chances of chemical contamination, I don't use groundwater for drinking. I use my roof water and municipal water for drinking. So this is the system I'm using for so many years, and I urge all of you to basically conserve your roof water, recharge your groundwater aquifers as a first step, and then put your three-part system as a combination to that. Then you have soft water, which is less tedious water, and then you can also you can be very sure that your rainwater is free from pathogens. When you don't expose your sump, which is harvesting rainwater, to sun, your rainwater will not be contaminated. It will not host any bacteria. It will be as fresh as forever if you don't just expose to sunlight. Because of the sunlight only, there is bacteria, there is algae that is developed in water bodies. If you just allow your water, if you do not allow sunlight to reach your sump, that water will be pure forever. This is a very simple scientific principle. Any water will be as pure as Ganga if you do not expose that to sunlight. So the only trick is your sump should be prevented. You should protect your sump from sunlight, from bacteria, from algae generation point of view. That water will be free from any bacteria forever. It's a very simple practice. It is practiced for generations across the country. If you go to Jaipur, if you go to Rajasthan, if you go to Gujarat, so many underground water harvesting structures, they do not allow sun to reach that water body, and that water will be fresh forever throughout the year. It will not generate any bad odor. It will not generate any algae. It will not have any bacteria. It's a very simple principle. Sunlight is the source of life, and water and sunlight generate bacteria, which is basically life. That combination gives you life. If you prevent sunlight, you cannot generate bacteria there. It is as simple as that. Okay, particularly pathogen bacteria. So our pot filters generate bacteria because because of the light that gets exposed. Pot filters, they are not exposed to sunlight, but when you open it, when you close it, some kind of light goes into it regularly. Because of that action only, you get some life into that pot in the form of beneficial bacteria. So that is the simple science, and for generations together, all our forts, particularly forts in Jaipur, Rajasthan, all of them have huge underground water storage tanks, which actually help even years together. entire palace staff, few thousands of people, few hundreds of people survived on rainwater, even in dry places like Rajasthan. So they did not carry water onto the top of the hills. If you know how they lived on the top of the hills, they simply harvested rainwater which was falling onto the roofs, and they collected it underground. They protected it from direct sun, and then they used it through sand filters. So this is a very traditional practice I'm using it in urban context. I also harvest roof water, recharge my groundwater, maintain my TDS, make it soft. As a result, it's a total package. I urge all of you to first conserve your roof water, put it into your ground, and have a storage tank. You can directly use that, and you can also use the sand filter system for your municipal water, which may be contaminated with pathogens. And RO plant directly will not, I mean, a three-part system will not directly reduce TDS, and it is not necessarily an alternative to RO plant. I think Better India, that lady, I forgot
No,
her
sir.
name.
Actually, the thing is, nowadays, if you ask anyone where the food comes,
Yeah,
they say either supermarket or refrigerator.
exactly. Yeah,
Now we say, what is our water? We thought,
yeah,
okay, the water coming from RO filter is water.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
almost all, not all. I mean, up to
Many, many, yeah.
99% of the people think, okay, water means we need to buy. Water means which comes from RO.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
a little bit more discussions about that.
yeah,
So because you are in an independent house or someone in an independent house, they can plan well. They can bring their pots and they can make a simple
yeah,
hole and they can fill with the sand and charcoal. They can put 3 pot. But
yeah,
what about those who are in apartments?
yeah. See, actually, the problem is, with both houses, I mean, both types of houses, even people who have independent bungalows and independent houses, they also don't do this. My house is relatively low dense locality in Hyderabad. Whenever some new house comes, my son and I, we religiously go there and explain about our house, good practice, harvest your water, all that kind of stuff. They simply nod hand and then they say, it is difficult for us, we can't do it, and things like, they give very lame excuses for not doing this, even though they have complete possibility to do it. Our colony has at least 400 independent houses. Only 4 houses have it. It is our apathy towards water, basically, towards our, it is height of ignorance, I would say. They think that RO plants are good. That is the ignorance they have. Regarding apartments also, I know some apartments who came together and then they harvested roof water. They allowed the roof water to percolate into ground. They actually recharge their aquifers, and their bore water became, their dead bores became alive, their groundwater became very soft. And it is possible in some apartments in Hyderabad also, which I saw with my own eyes. Basically, I think it is individuals' mindset, their ignorance or knowledge. Their ignorance that RO plant water is good, that is an ignorance. That is their ignorance. And knowledge about roof water harvesting and sand filters, that we can do, that kind of attitude, willingness to do, attitude to conserve water and live this kind of life, absence of that knowledge is also one of the reasons. Whoever has that knowledge and willingness to talk to their own neighbors and put some efforts towards that, they are able to do even in urban apartments. If you see the area that is required in a small apartment, you can see that it is only one part. I mean, the space, it doesn't occupy too much of space. Only you are keeping one above the other. You are not actually taking too much of space. Even in a small area, you can actually keep it at your own residence, even though you are living in a small apartment.
Yeah.
Space is not the issue. And I think the main challenge is attitude of urban dwellers. How sensitive we are about conserving our roof water, and then uh, also conserving it for using it after this kind of filter.
Yeah. So another question comes here is to where to get such materials.
Yeah, actually, I had some discussion with Sudhir sometime when he called me about this webinar. No, there was another call from Gujarat recently. He's a businessman. He's a very textile. Actually, he runs a textile factory there. He said, people like you want to follow it, but we don't know how to do it. We do not have time. Can you say? Can you have a startup and send these things to me? I said, how can I send a pot from Hyderabad to Ahmedabad? It is highly, very, very, irrational to do that. If you buy pot locally, maybe I can send other materials. Then he encouraged me to start a startup. Actually, till then I was not thinking about this. Maybe at least everyone is asking me, where to get this material, how to do this. There was one lady in Bangalore who followed all the steps step by step, and she struggled to get charcoal. She struggled to get gravel. She waited almost 3 months to get some breakthrough in that. Then I was only encouraging her to go there because I don't know Bangalore. How can I advise? So finally, after all these calls and things, maybe I'll start a small startup just to give this package of material. It is also little kind of stupid, when sand, stones, and gravel, they are available everywhere, but you need to do some process. If you directly put it, actually you may be causing harm to yourself. You need to wash it thoroughly. You should actually sun dry it. You should do it 3-4 times and then properly pack it and things like that. Maybe we can do that. Actually I started making even active charcoal with uh, coconut shells, because active charcoal is considered to be more effective in treating even bacteria. So maybe I can do that eventually. I'm little preoccupied with other enterprises. I have another enterprise on bioenzyme based natural cleaners. I'm going to start that very very soon by this month end. I'm basically getting a formal commercial product made out of natural, fruits, pulp, and leaves, flowers, and things like that, as a shampoo and body wash. I'm using it for last 1.5 years. You can see I'm growing long hair. My hair is very healthy because of that. Many people ask me, how do you do that? So I'm getting a kind of startup on bioenzyme based body wash and other things.
Wonderful, sir.
I'm not actually buying even in COVID period. I did not buy sanitizers till now. Only last week I purchased because my mother-in-law is hospitalized in Gandhi Hospital. My son is regularly going to attend her. So he has to protect it more regularly, more frequently. So we purchased so-called sanitizer, alcohol-based sanitizer for the first time in last 1.5 year. Till now, I'm using only natural cleaners for hand wash, body wash, everything. I did not buy sanitizer. Alcohol-based sanitizer. So, I'm busy with that. But once I'm through, perhaps I can, start this sand filter based material as a startup. Send people who may not be able to do for variety of reasons. Either they are too busy, or simply they don't know where this material is available, or they are also stupid. I'm just being blunt with you. If you are not able to find sand in your locality, maybe it is available, you are just unable to see that. I'm just putting categories of people who want to do it but not able to do for variety of reasons. Maybe I can start a small startup there. Only point is sending such material, heavy material, it may be at least 10 kg or whatever. Actually, I did not pay. That kind of courier cost, all of them will be there. I need to pack it
Yeah,
properly because,
at least you
yeah,
can guide a few things like charcoal, because sand and parts we can get anywhere.
yeah,
Maybe we can spend the resources we can get. But
yeah,
even if we get, we don't know whether it is a quality or not, whether, because we
yeah,
can't use for drinking.
yeah.
So yeah, the participants, if you have anyone question, please unmute yourself and ask the question. So you can use the session to directly interact with Ramchandra Garu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Satish Chandraji, please ask your question. unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hello, good
Yeah.
evening.
Good
I'm
evening, yeah.
Lieutenant Colonel Satish Chandra Sharma. My question is that how you have to recharge your this charcoal and gravel and sand? First question is, I stay at Ghaziabad. My TDS is 1800 here.
Okay, yeah,
So it is we have installed RO system.
okay,
So I am getting around 200 TDS after RO system.
Yeah.
But once I put water through RO system, pH is decreasing. So how to improve pH of water? And my question is that we have to charge our this three filter system. How much? And you see, people may be purchasing from you for first time to see what should be the size of gravel, what they want to put. Like I am also now making my bioenzyme, but once I started to get confidence, I purchase it from market, from Better India and all other people,
Yeah.
so that to put my family on board also. You
Yeah.
see, if I produce a very simple product, my family will not like to have it in a house for first place. So
Yeah.
I am gradually putting into, and I have joined this Sudhir's program and then Shailendraji program.
Yeah.
So I am slowly, gradually, and mentality of Northern India is very different than Southern Indian people.
No, everyone
So
is same.
because I have worked in a government petroleum conservation research
Yeah.
association as a director, I know that how to put thing into practice. To
Yeah.
put outside is easy, but in the house it is very difficult.
I
But
know.
anyhow, I am in job. But
Yeah.
now my question is that how to improve TDS of a water, and here I get around 200 TDS after RO system,
Yeah.
and pH is around 6 and 6.5. I want
Okay.
to make it around 7.
Yeah. Satish Chandra garu, thanks for your question. I completely I sympathize with you regarding your own family members and having a common mind. I think most of the people who have some kind of agenda like this, it is difficult to mobilize support from their own family. Very rarely, entire family, entire family is on the same page. I also completely sympathize share that with you. Regarding this RO plant related agenda, what I'm basically saying is, I want you to recharge your groundwater, not the RO plant. Your roof is catching a lot of rainwater.
You see,
And,
my colony is 2,500 flats are there. It will take much time. So,
no, sir. No. See, I'm just talking about your roof water, whether you are big apartment complex or simple single house, or maybe even 10 apartments. The rain is falling on your roof, and this entire rainwater is just simply draining, into the drainages and all. It is not reaching your aquifer, but you are extracting water from deeper aquifers. As a result, TDS is very, very high. So what you need to do is, you need to have rainwater harvesting pits, conserve rainwater from your own roof as a starting point. Then the local aquifer will be, recharged, and the TDS will be reduced naturally. After that, you can put RO plant. Actually, you may not need RO plant if there is no chemical contamination. RO plant is required only when there is a chemical, natural contaminants like fluoride or arsenic or iron. Other chemicals are not really harmful to health. So, but the TDS will be high. If you recharge your local aquifers, there are so many technologies. I put my number here. You can actually ping me your email ID. We can exchange how to recharge water with your own roof water. I think that is the first step most of us should do. Then, because that is difficult, because it is difficult to convince people about rainwater harvesting thing, everyone would like to put an RO plant, which is very simple. I think there are no simple solutions. We need to struggle. We need to, talk to our people, convince ourselves first, convince our neighbors first, our colony people first. Harvest your roof water, dilute your groundwater aquifer. Then, if it is still not working, then RO plant may be necessary. So that is the sequence, and then when you put RO water, obviously it is acidic water, which is indicated by your 4, 5 kind of pH values. That is very harmful to your body ultimately. Yeah, another question. Can we go to next question?
Yeah. So Shravani garu, please unmute and ask your question.
ఓకే హలో హాయ్ సార్
Yeah. Hi.
నేను తెలుగులో మాట్లాడొచ్చా అండి
Yeah, మాట్లాడండి. I will translate it in English.
Yeah, please.
యాక్చువల్లీ అంటే నేను దీన్ని ఈ ఫిల్టర్ గురించి కాదండి, నేను రెయిన్ వాటర్ హార్వెస్టింగ్ గురించి మాట్లాడాలనుకున్నాను.
No, we will stick to the topic and because we are running out of time. You have
You can call me.
Yeah.
మీరు తర్వాత పిలవండి, నా నెంబర్ పెట్టాను. I can also help you on rain water.
అంటే మేము హౌస్ ప్లాన్ చేస్తున్నాం, సో నాకు అది కొంచెం అది ఇంపార్టెంట్ అనిపించింది.
Yeah. You can please call me. నా నెంబర్ ఇచ్చానండి, మీరు అందులో మాట్లాడండి.
ఓకే, సో మేము కూడా
Please
ఇదే సేమ్ ఇవన్నీ యూజ్ చేస్తున్నామండి, శైలేందర్ గారిది బయో ఎంజైమ్స్ అండ్
So,
Very
yeah.
nice.
So we are running out of time. We'll take the next question. Yeah. Tejashwi Das garu. Please unmute and ask the question. Tejashwi Das.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
Actually, I am late to this meeting. Is there any YouTube? You are putting this video in the YouTube?
Yes,
so
it will.
that I can look
It will be there in the Facebook and it will also come in the YouTube. Just send a WhatsApp message to 630-101-6099. You will be joining the links. Yeah.
Thank you,
And,
sir.
Next question, Ramachandra garu. Please unmute and ask the question.
So, good evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, please ask.
Okay.
Yeah, please
Yes, the question is, sir, we are living in an apartment complex, and the corporation water TDS is about 40 to 50. So, can I increase it to 100 plus, because it should be usually between 100 and 300. So, how to increase the TDS is my question.
Okay.
Good question.
Yeah. Actually, there are also mineralization is taking place now, because many people are finding this as a problem. Even Tata and all those bottle companies, they are advertising that they are mineralizing this water, remineralizing and things like that. So generally, if you take groundwater and then if there is no chemical contamination in your groundwater,
Right.
then you need to check that.
We are getting corporation water. From the corporation, we are getting TDS about 40 to 50 every day.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
Because your TDS is already 40, which is relatively low. You
Right.
can take your groundwater and mix that with your TDS, with your corporation water. Then TDS is actually, it's almost like sugar. It's carbonates, bicarbonates, and they will dilute in water. If you increase more water, the TDS will come down. Water becomes soft. If you remove it, then it becomes, the concentration becomes. So it is relatively easy to organize TDS. You can mix your groundwater and corporation water, and then your TDS will be high. So,
Okay. But then there's no way to get groundwater, sir. We are living in a flat apartment complex.
okay, but you must be having some groundwater. No, where do you live?
Nothing. All our, it's 400 flats are there. It's pumped from the central place to each and every flat.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Then I have one solution. Maybe if I allow to talk. So there is from cow dung ash, we can make acidic water to alkaline. Maybe you post me in the group, I will reply back. So it's a simple process which will neutralize the acidic.
Yes.
Means it will increase the TDS, right?
It will increase the TDS. It increase the pH level.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Raja garu, please ask your question.
First of all, very good evening to one and all, and very thankful to Sudhir Garu for conducting this wonderful meeting. And sir, I read your article in the Better India, Ramchandra.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is already I taken this vertical printout and I just I read the article, and fortunately Sudhir Garu also arranged this webinar. Sir, my question is when I connect the rainwater, I observed many times there is so much of dust in the rainwater. So that water I am unable to drink it. That is the first question, sir. And second question, sir, from my childhood, we are using the groundwater only, sir. Means from bore, we are taking the water and directly we are drinking. But we did not observe what is the pH level, what is the what you call TDS. We did not observe anything, sir. So this is the second question. And third question is this: what is the what you have mentioned the this parts, three parts? Can we keep in a sunlight, or can you keep in a what you called only light places,
Dark
shade
places.
places?
Yeah. We'll go by one by one. We will go one by
Yeah,
one.
one by one. I think you're right, Raja Garu. Basically, all roofs are exposed, and there will be a lot of litter. Either bird droppings or simply dust or any leaves or paper or plastic. There are so many things on the roofs. Okay, they will when rain comes, your entire roof is actually catching that entire dust or contamination. So basically, when you are harvesting from roof water, you need to clean your roof, just before monsoon as a first step, and then you allow the first water to simply go onto the normal ground or anything. You don't harvest that water. So you are saying something. You have another question.
Yes, sir. Sir, I did not collect from the roof, sir. I'm just putting the what you call the big drop into the direct what you call outside of the roof, sir. Directly
Okay.
putting the roof outside of the roof only.
Directly, son. Directly under clouds.
Under rain only, I'm keeping, sir.
Okay, yeah. So then you should not. Maybe you should check with your container, or maybe the water is falling through some trees or leaves, whatever. Generally, when you catch water directly from rain without any obstruction, when the rain drop directly falls onto your container, it is the purest water actually. It should not have any dust. You
can
check
check it,
with
sir.
your
We'll check it,
container.
sure.
Yeah. So, but a typical rainwater harvesting structure, when you have it, you have to clean it just before monsoon. That means on June second week or so, you just completely clean your rooftop, make it very, very spick and span. Even after that, you leave the first shower without catching it. The second shower onwards, you can actually put that into your sump. But before it goes to your sump, you should have a sand filter. Rainwater will not directly go to your sump, even though it is pure water. The sand filter will keep all the dust or any contamination, or any litter or anything, and it will allow only clean water to go to your sump. That is your first point. The second point is about you are drinking groundwater for a long period without any problem, right? See,
Yes,
I think that's what I was saying. We all drank water for so many generations, either open well or hand pump. That means we are drinking water from shallow aquifers. Groundwater is considered to be the best, contamination-free, pathogen-free water for generation. That's why UNICEF promoted, as an alternative to surface water, they promoted these hand pumps, because hand pumps get water from shallow aquifers where soil is actually treating water, purifying water, and you can drink that water without any problem. Because it is shallow aquifer, generally it is also soft. There is no high TDS. As we started going deeper and deeper, water became very hard because we are extracting deep and there is no recharge of that water. That's why I'm asking all of you to recharge your shallow aquifers. Sorry, I forgot the third question.
Sir, these three parts, can you keep in a sunlight, or can you
Okay.
keep in a just
Yeah, I
light?
know. It is better to avoid sunlight, because when you keep drinking water in sunlight, that gets heated up. No, you want to drink cold water as a first step. You don't generally drink hot water unless you are in Kerala. So basically, you keep it in a normal location without direct sun. But this beneficial bacteria will develop naturally with normal light, not necessarily sunlight.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So next question, Tejasvi Das Garu. Tejasvi Das Garu, please ask your question. Yeah. So I remember, because in the initial days of my living in an apartment.
I already finished it. Huh?
Yeah.
Achha.
So when I was in apartment, it took almost 9 months for me to convince the apartment people to have a rainwater harvesting pit.
But you could
Because-
convince them finally.
Yeah, finally, using Samadhana, Dandapaya, Vedas and everything. Then in that moment, I explored a lot of it, about it, and what is water, what is drinking water. So at that time, I understood three-part method. So one of the worker was saying he's from a sea area, nearby sea area,
Okay, yeah.
because they don't have a drinking water, good drinking water. Say I ask, generally I ask the question, how you people will live in such a remote places? What is your process to RO filter? Then he mentioned we use 3 pots filled with the sand, and we pour water in the first part, and we slowly will take that water and we'll filter. At that time, I didn't understood. I thought, okay, maybe they use some other ingredients and as well. So now after that experience, what is doing rainwater harvesting and going a lot of more articles and experiences, then I understood water is supposed to be natural. It is supposed to be simple. It is to be toxic and chemical free, and it is to be natural. Now with this webinar, we glad to know about your experiences, and since from 15 years you are using that, and now you are giving the guidance as well. Yeah, Vijaya Garu, please unmute yourself. You have one question. Yeah, please unmute yourself. Vijay Garu, unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hello,
Yeah.
Ramchandra ji.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you one question that's relating to cost of the water harvesting system in a typical apartment type building on a per square feet or per 100 square feet of area of the rooftop.
Okay, yeah. Uh, it may be a little difficult for me right now to give, but I can explain. See, a typical recharge pit will depends on the local geology. Is it very hard strata or is it soft kind of soil? Depending on that, you have to put up, and how much area you have, open space where you can put this recharge structure. Sometimes within the soak pit or within the recharge structure, you will also have some kind of injection borewell to reach little more deeper. Sometimes when there is hard rock, even if you dig a pit, water will not go to the shallow aquifer. So you need to dig, put a kind of borewell, which is called injection borewell, maybe up to 20 feet, 30 feet like that, to reach little deeper aquifers. So all these factors will be influencing this recharge pit. But I would think the cost may range, anything between 25,000 to 1 lakh rupees, depending on the volume that you want to have, depending on the size of the recharge pit that you would like to have. And I can assure you that your groundwater aquifer, your borewell, your electricity bill, everything will be, much different. Actually, you can recover your entire cost within 1 or 2 years. If you are living in water scarcity area, maybe you are buying water also. So this entire water scenario will change if you invest that kind of money. If you give little more details, maybe I can help you in actually designing this kind of stuff, because as I mentioned, we are trying to promote this. We started giving a lot of free advice, but it is not working. But when people are interested in doing that, there is no support or guidance, professional advice to them. So I thought, we'll start up some kind of, advisory services on a modest fee or something like that, because there are costs involved, time, supervision, all that kind of stuff. So maybe we can help you in that kind of processes. Definitely, these are doable. They are highly beneficial both in terms of investment cost and return on investment.
Yeah, definitely. We need to have some examples or testimonials to get the acceptance in this modern education or modern living. Yeah. So another question is, so how many days we need to change this sand and charcoal?
Yeah. So actually, only charcoal, perhaps you need to change. My experience, I think I'm a little lazy. I should tell you very clearly. If you change it every year, it would be nice. See, after some time, these pots become very, very damaged. They disintegrate. So that is the time you need to buy new pots and change the entire thing. During that process, you can reuse the sand and gravel, but charcoal will lose its character. It will be very ineffective. So it is good to buy new charcoal at that time. Except charcoal, you can use the old material. You have to wash them again and dry them again. Like that, you have to do 2-3 times. All the dust and everything will go off, and you will get again clear sand and gravel. You can use them again. When you change, maybe every 1 year you can change your pots, clean them up, and put the new stuff. And when you put this, you have to buy new charcoal. That is the only cost.
So another important thing is how to make holes.
Yeah, how to make holes, basically, I think we put it in the document there. First, you have to wet it, keep it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, at the bottom of it. After that, you take a small nail. It requires little skill. You have to be very patient. Maybe it takes some 15 minutes to 20 minutes to half an hour. You have to slowly, move the sharp nail in circles, and then the hole gets formed. It is not impossible, but you need to have some patience.
Can we
And
use a drilling machine to?
If you are skillful enough, I think you can use it. Actually, my son can use it. He actually does that. But I would advise to use simple, nail, sharp nail. Be patient and slowly, move the nail in circular motion, and then slowly you will form a hole. Don't put very big hole. Water should drop drop by drop. It should not flow.
Okay, so we need to make the bottom of the pot wet and then
Wet, yeah.
slowly rotate it, the nail.
Yeah.
And a small hole will come.
Will form. Yeah.
So is there any chances of getting the hole blocked due to these materials or dust?
Actually, sometimes if the hole is big, or see, when you are using regularly, there will be some kind of cavity formation that takes place. Water, even in ground, underground aquifers also it takes place. You take the soil, sand, gravel, everything, becomes organizes itself in a particular path. That path would become permanent. That becomes, it's like a highway. Then actually water will directly go there without sinking, without getting filtered. So in that, actually you should disturb that structure. Actually, water should move slowly, layer by layer. That is the whole thing. So when this hole gets blocked for any reasons, you can use the same nail or a small stick from bottom, and then just prick it from the bottom, and then that will be the unclogged.
Okay, so the whole dimension can be 0.5 mm or 1 mm. Or
maybe 1 mm, 0.5 mm to 1 mm. It should be very small. I can simply say that.
Okay.
Actually, many people are asking me to make a video film on that. I was just caught up with other things. I think I'll make a YouTube film on how to make it, and then present it very fast, very soon.
Yeah. So participants, any other question? We'll take it. Yeah, I think we are done with all the questions.
Please share email ID of Ramachandra Garu.
Yes, it's already shared in the group chat.
Okay.
If you are part of the Natural Cooling group, we will also share it in the group.
Okay.
Yeah. With this, thank you all for joining us today's webinar, for knowing and we went through the experiences of Ramachandra Garu about how he is using the 3-pot filter method from the last 15 years for drinking purpose. It's very simple and effective and very useful setup, especially in the current modern living where we are. With this, we conclude today's webinar. Thank you all.
Thanks very much. Thanks for your